crypto, and you'll see the set screen, and it'll as soon as I go live, it'll come up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. Well, this is the time, so I'm going to do the introduction, and then I'm going to then run the video, and then I'll get back to us. So you guys, not much for you to do at first. All right, let's do this. Going live.
It's been so long since I've done a live stream.
All right. Now it's telling me that I'm having some streaming issues, but I'm hoping that it's good. So you guys take a look. Hey, you've reached Digitspin Crypto. I'm going to bring up the channel. We have some exciting stuff for you today. We got Mick Ambrose and we got Oliver today from Electroneum. And we want to discuss and talk about all the exciting stuff with Electroneum. So let me start this. I'm not a financial advisor, and neither are these guys. So don't take anything here as financial advice. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I'm under NDA.
But he's just a goofy guy and a strong
I've never heard it, and I don't want to turn my
So join in and have a laugh. It's gonna be a good time, that's a fact. Information and crypto parodies. Sit back and enjoy the show. Just never know which way you'll go. Get ready for Digitspin Crypto.
Little fishing hook to see if I could get Ollie to come in, and he decided to also bite the hook. There you go. I reeled him right in, and so we got Ollie. Now we may also have a few other YouTubers jump in at some point throughout the night. They may just pop in and out if they have some time, but this is all great stuff. I appreciate you guys really taking the time to jump onto the show. It's pretty exciting to have you here. I've watched Mick's show. Obviously, it's all about tech, and he's got an amazing show, and he talks about all sorts of technology along with Electroneum and games. He's been doing a lot of video games and stuff lately, right, Mick?
Oh yes, I mean you only have to look at the background to see that absolute monstrosity that I've put in that office.
I saw a couple of them where you're doing and you're modding Xboxes and whatever good stuff there, and so you know, Mick's been obviously with the community. I'm sure just about everybody knows who he is, but if you don't or you haven't seen Mick's show, it's all about tech. You can look that up and make sure you subscribe. Now, Ollie doesn't have a channel to subscribe to, but we are glad that we reeled him in. And we got him here. We got him with the fish hook. One side or the other.
Yeah, well, towards you, so it looks like you're pulling me.
Now, obviously, Ollie is from Electroneum. He's the PR manager. He's the guy with all the good knowledge, info, and excitement. And he kind of parses out what he can to us. Obviously, he won't be able to answer all sorts of questions, but he may be able to answer some. So I'll be looking at the chat, and if there's any questions, I'll bring them in as I can. And hopefully Ollie will be able to answer maybe some of them. No answers.
No, I'm just here for the fun, really.
He's just here for the fun of it. But but I'm gonna be, so you guys be nice.
Yeah,
So
be nice. I was ambushed terribly the other day, so yeah, be nice.
yeah, I heard about that. That's not right. And well, you know, if you go into the lodge, you're gonna get beat up. It's like going into Diagon Alley. You're asking for it. You're gonna hang out in the...
Actually, the lodge was really nice to me. It was elsewhere, where I don't want to mention where exactly.
Oh, okay. The lodge was reasonably nice. All right, it was a different one.
Screwed up pretty badly.
I think I know what you're talking about now. Okay. So, what do you guys? I know Ollie probably can't speak to this, so I'm gonna probably hit Mick up just this first area. Holy smokes, Mick! What about the price of Electroneum?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Absolute madness, to be honest. I mean, it's just a breath of fresh air, isn't it? I mean, being in this community for the last making videos over 2 years now, and we've not seen since the 2017 end of 2017 bull run, not seen anything quite so exciting. 160% against the US dollar in the last 30 days. Pretty much 100% against Bitcoin. Yeah, it's retraced a little tiny bit, but going from like 24 Satoshis to 54 in a matter of a few days, it's just a breath of fresh air. I mean, something's kind of sparked, and there's just so much excitement again, and it's awesome. It is awesome.
Yeah, it was
definitely
What's
the
that?
mood. I'm saying definitely the mood amongst the ETN community has changed quite dramatically, which is good. It's always good to see positivity. Positivity influences everything else, as everybody knows. So it's always good to get that positive sentiment out there. If you haven't been onto Lunar Crush, go on to Lunar Crush. It's a good website. It shows how social media sentiment influences the bakery. You know what I mean? There's certain words I can't use. You guys know that, but you know what I'm talking about. So we've moved up in the ranks, which is really good. Although in reality, we're pretty much back where we should be and where we were. When was it? It wasn't long ago when we were down to 88, 89th position, and then suddenly we just had a dramatic drop to about 100. I think it was pretty close to the 130th position. So we're just kind of back to where we should be, and the optimism within the office is big because there's some new strategies in place to ensure that growth will be sustained and the movement is in a good way. So there's sustainability there. So what Richard has avoided, by all means, is building upon on a house of cards. So what he wants is for the movement to be, for everything to be very well founded on good foundations, and that growth is sustainable, and none of this other things that other crypto projects are doing. So you can expect for this to be quite positive moving forward.
That's excellent. That's expected. I've been doing shows and I've been talking about, the prices has gone down and we were at our all-time lows and we're already in place. I'd take care of business here if I was you before people catch on. And I think people are starting to catch on. And as they get to know more about Electroneum, they're going to realize, hey, this is a great place to see a benefit in the future. So I think that they're starting to see that. And of course, once you have movement, that brings in more people. They're like, "Ooh, what's that over there? That's making money." Yeah, "Ooh, what's this?" They always want to dump the coins into the shiny new thing, But they're gonna take a look at it, and if they're taking a look at it, they're gonna start watching the videos. Maybe they'll find out more about the project and realize what it's actually doing, and it's a keeper. And that's where I'm thinking a lot of this excitement started off, and then on top of that, so yeah, it's great. It's
typing away, coding away, administering away, whatever their tasks are. Everybody's there and are very passionate about what they're doing, because who wouldn't be? We're trying to make a difference in the world. We're trying to help people in developing countries. We're trying to help people that are unbanked and wouldn't otherwise have access to the global digital economy. So who wouldn't be happy, or who wouldn't be passionate about being part of that? whichever way you are, which be it on the side of purchasing a lot of ETN for whatever reason, or be it a supporter of Electroneum across the social media channels, or being a staff member and working hard. I mean, it's just being part of the project that's incredible, and it's a privilege to be with Electroneum.
Yeah, I know. Me and Nick, I'm sure Nick feels similar. He'll tell me if I don't, but we're excited just to be able to talk about it, you know, and so I can imagine working there. I always tell my wife, I said, if I lose my business, I'm applying at Electroneum. We're gonna move to England, maybe. But with all this closures nonsense. But no, it's a great. It's a lot of fun. I know Mick enjoys it. I always see it in his videos.
Yeah, I mean, it's over 2 years later, still making content. I know, obviously, it's been a lot less content as of recent, but there's just been so much going on. Started a new job and moved house, and last year was just super busy, especially towards the end of the year. But yeah, I've really been enjoying getting back in, because as soon as you get out of the routine of regular uploads, it's so hard to get back on that horse. It's so hard. So to be back on it and uploading regularly is, I mean, it's what the community deserve at the end of the day. Obviously, I've been to the HQ twice, and like you say, everyone's there, everyone's cracking on, and a great bunch of people as well. So I was more than satisfied that people are there getting stuff done both times I was there. So yeah, it's just awesome, and I've been waiting. I was waiting for the job offer for so long, and it just never came. It just never came. So I had to get back on it, and now I work in aviation, which is going swimmingly.
That's all right. That works. Hey, you read that letter I saw, Mick?
Somebody was asking me. Some folks were drilling on me. What does everybody in that office do? I mean, well, come to the office and see it for yourself. That's all I can say. And fortunately, Mick's been there. You've been there. You know exactly what's going on. And, you can tell the world. You can answer those questions sometimes for us, and you have been. I mean, you've been very supportive. Yep. And to me, what's happening now is really only a result of the community coming together, right? Because there have been some other out there, some people with major negativity, dumping on the project, dumping on their own holdings or whatever, bashing their own ETN, doing these negative things against the Electroneum, and that's been hard to deal with. But I think we've done a very good job to try to maintain that positivity in a good level. So I feel we're in a good place right now. If we keep this momentum up, we keep that positivity up, we keep delivering, that we shall see better things in the coming months.
Absolutely. So I had a lot of people out on the chat, and there's a lot of other topics I want to talk to you guys about. But let's put the real text. He's saying that he goes, will the summit be recorded? And the ANON, or what's the right way to say that? Anonymous?
ANON Summit. The ANON Summit.
Mm-hmm. So he wants to know if that's going to be recorded so that he can watch the keynote later on, because it's 3 a.m. for him when it's on.
Well, just wake up, man. Wake up and yeah, it's going to be recorded. Unfortunately, they're not going to have the recording ready till a week after the ANON Summit.
Are we allowed to record there?
Excuse me.
Are we allowed to record?
Yeah, you can. I'm pretty sure.
that's sorted then, because it's 11 a.m. for me, or 10 a.m. when it starts, and I'm going to be attending on the 19th.
I'm sure you
so
can
I'll
find a
record it
way.
all.
You're all about tech, right? So I'm sure you can find.
Ooh, shot fired.
Shots fired! Shots fired! No, yeah,
That's
I'm
funny.
I'm going to be up for it. I'm going to be recording it. So as soon as it's readily available to me, because I was going to need to ask the question: Are we allowed to record stuff whilst on the summit, etc.? I didn't know what kind of the rules were as such, because obviously they're giving us a business ticket for being part of the community. I didn't want to seem like I was taking the mickey a little bit by recording all of their content. So
yeah, no, let's record it, and if you do, and we're not able to for some reason or another, well, by all means send it to me as well, so we can clip it here and share it with the community as well. But the summit themselves, they're not going to have it ready till a week afterwards. So, but if you wake up if it's 3 o'clock, 11 is 3 o'clock, you can still wake up in time to see parts of the summit. You may still have time to watch the panel with Richard and Maximilian Marenbach of Kraken and John Lamis of Staker Dow, or I think it's the other way around. I may have the names switched around, but that's going to be an interesting panel as well. So, and then there's the 2 hours at the booth, the exhibition booth between 12 and 2 p.m. UK time, or 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. CST time, which is time in Austria. Will be live in the booth. Richard will be there. A couple other execs will be there. I'll be there. Some people will be answering questions. Richard, you'll be able to interact with Richard at the booth and ask him questions directly, face to face. It's the first time I'm going to attend one of these summits, so trying to wrap my head around how all this works. But the way it's been explained to me, that you can click on the booth and see what's happening from out. As soon as you click on the booth, you can see what's happening there. And if you want to actually interact, you just kind of click on a button saying, hey, I want to interact. And then you're allowed in, and then you can actually see Richard and interact face to face on camera with him. So I think that's an amazing opportunity for anybody that wishes to personally talk to him and ask him a few questions. Of course, there are safeguards in place just in case. We know that there's going to be fudders there. There's going to be some of these people that we all know that are only waiting to bash as soon as you say anything. As soon as you open your mouth, they're ready to say something very negative. We know they're going to be there, and they're going to try to dump on us there. There are safeguards in place to immediately boot them out, just so that everybody knows. You need to watch yourselves and be courteous and respectful, and otherwise you will be booted out of the entire summit, for that matter.
Okay. So I'm going to take one more question, and then I'm going to get back to another topic, if that's okay with you guys.
Hey, your show.
We have Mr. I'm going to see if I can get this right. Mr. Prashith Joe. He says, hey, do we have any plans for India in the future? What's your thoughts on that, guys?
We do. We have some exciting things moving forward with India. I can't say when exactly, because that's just the nature of things. If anything, if we've learned anything these past 2 years, is not to give any deadlines. And again, we do apologize for any delays, any overpromises. Believe me, if you were at the office and saw how all these agreements and negotiations take place, you would understand it's not that we are trying to hype anything up or trying to lie to anybody. It's that we get excited because we see things are crystallizing, are becoming real, and we've been in the position where tomorrow this amazing thing is going to happen. And then just overnight, we wake up in the morning and it's like it fell through. What can you do?
That's never happened, has it, Mick?
No,
We don't know what you're talking about, Ollie.
We love it when that
no
happens.
idea, but I mean that's business, isn't it? I mean, you can't count your eggs until they hatch, and we've made that mistake of counting the eggs in the basket before they hatch. But we've learned from that, so we're not falling for that ever again. But there are very exciting things moving forward with India.
That's really good to know. Such a big region, huge region.
Huge region, yes, and we are preparing to be present there very soon.
So, is their regulatory standpoint completely changed now as to what it was before?
Yeah, so they've lifted the ban, which opens the door to cryptocurrencies, crypto exchanges, everything. So,
Good.
so it's
It was BNS, wasn't it? That ETN was listed, and that was one of India's biggest exchanges?
which one? Sorry.
BNS. That was an Indian exchange.
Okay, well,
I remember right in the early days.
Yeah, before my time, but we are going with one of the most popular crypto exchanges. I can't say which, I can't say when, but that's coming soon, very soon.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, that's important. I have great hopes for with Electroneum in India. I think it's something easy that they everybody can use, and hopefully we'll have some off ramps for that area. And of course, there's very talented people in India that will be able to take advantage of any task, and have skill sets that far exceed a lot of other countries, and I think they'll be quite successful being able to do and to be able to sell their services on any task and earn some value with Electroneum.
Well said, Dino.
No
Exactly.
doubt.
There are other things in China as well. I mean, we're in talks with some key people in China, and we will have presence there as well. Hopefully we can participate in that market and expand ourselves into that region as well. So
Next
times.
topic.
Mhm.
Well, go ahead. You were saying?
No, I'm saying.
All right. Now, next topic was the Richard Ells letter. Mick.
Okay.
Mick, I know you talked about, you did a whole video on it, but wow, that was a lot of good stuff in there.
It was in terms of revealing news, there wasn't like tons of brand new things revealed, but in terms of just the importance of that update, I said it in the title. I thought it was the biggest update he's given. I mean, concluding phase 1, which we've been in for the last 2.5 years, moving into phase 2, which is brand new for us hearing about it. Again, I say a breath of fresh air again, because it was just such a nice way to cap off the last couple years of building the ecosystem. Look, we've done the Facebook, we've gained all these users, we've got all these registered users, we have like 3.8 million email addresses, we've got 1 something million downloads across Android and iOS. We've built instant payment system, we've built AnyTask, and now it's moving into actually marketing this thing, and just the whole going back to the crypto community, I think is going to be really interesting. And like I said in one of my previous videos about it, the crypto community is a very hard to please community. So it is going to be really interesting. Obviously, Electroneum over the last couple of years have not always made decisions that have massively benefited the crypto community, for example, the mining, etc. But obviously those decisions were ETNs to make. They're a private limited company. It's their decisions to make. They're going to take the road that they need to get to where they need to be. And yeah, so you just got to support that, to be honest.
Yeah, my last video, I went through that letter. I actually read it like you did. And, it got me excited because, the letter came out swinging as far as I was concerned and told it the way it was. And it really made me excited that it's like, look, they clearly understand the problem here, and they realize that it's insulting, the value that's being passed around for the coin, and that it should be worth so much more, and this is what we're going to do to take care of it, and clearly outlining a path and a problem. And I was pretty excited about it. If you watch that video that I did yesterday, you'll see how excited I was. And so I was really hopeful, and this is where it's going to get to you, Ollie. I'm really hopeful that Electroneum is going to be looking forward and to grab the attention again of the 1%, because they set the pins up, and that allows the other 99% to play the game. If the pins don't get set up, it's going to be real tough to play the game. And having the interest of the crypto community, gets the word out there. It keeps the product viable as far as its economic values, and it makes life a lot easier. And my biggest concern is, I talk with the YouTubers. They don't know what it's about. They have no idea. Isn't that mobile mining thing? That's all centralized. I'm not interested. I don't want to know anything about it. And it's shocking to me. There's just so much that can be expressed and explained, and because they don't even take the time, or it doesn't even pique their curiosity, they don't bother. They don't get a chance to talk about it. So I'm hoping that we'll start to see Electroneum really pushing out there to educate folks. I even told the guy, I said, geez, I would be happy if even Electroneum just paid them 10,000 Electroneum just to show up for a conference call and just to learn about the product, so we can give a 15-minute little blurb, and so that you understand what it's about, and go forward from there. And a percentage of them would understand. They would see the value in it. So my question to you, Ollie, is, you may or may not be able to answer it, but what type of excitement? How do you see Electroneum taking the path of being able to get into the face of the crypto community and to be able to educate them about the new Electroneum?
Well, that's really not that hard. Now, first, I'd like to mention the part about the phase 1 and phase 2 for those who have potentially not seen the interview he did with Manish Kumar of CoinGyan. He did an extensive interview with him as well, and he spoke very clearly about phase 1, phase 2, and even a phase 3. That's when all that began being revealed to the public. But yeah, phase 2 is essentially, you said it very well, Dino. It's about continuing on from phase 1. Phase 1 was about developing, getting the products out there, and phase 2 is about marketing them. It's about advertising them. It's about getting banners out on the main crypto news outlets and everywhere else we can find that is helpful for the project. So we know that Electroneum as a company needs to be widely advertised across crypto news outlets. AnyTask is just a little bit different. We don't see that that advertising in crypto news outlets would be that efficient. I mean, it's important that the crypto community understands that AnyTask is part of Electroneum and why it's part of Electroneum and what the mission behind it is. That's important, and we will get that point across. But I think it's more important to get the AnyTask advertisement and advertorials and articles out in mainstream media, because that's what we need on any task. We need a whole
Correct.
bunch of buyers to make freelancers on any task happy that they are earning. There are people there. The marketplace does exist, and as Richard has said previously, our first target to be able to say 1,000 people actually live entirely off of any task. When we reach that point, the next milestones will fall pretty much in their place by themselves. So I think Richard's very wise in that way. He set himself setting goals for the company that aren't so hard to reach, because sometimes they can be daunting or overwhelming to think, hey, we need 100,000 of these buyers by X time, and it's like you get really stressed, and how are we going to do that? But when you tone that down and say, hey, actually, let's not talk about mass adoption. Let's not talk about helping millions. Let's talk about actually having the first 1,000 people living entirely off of any task. And when we reach that, I think we can be really happy, because the next milestones will fall in place by themselves. And in that regards, for example, we're going out with an advertorial on any task on the Irish Tech Times tomorrow, and on another website called Workplace Insight. Again, very wise decision, very wise strategy on behalf of Richard, because what we've been doing in this phase one is testing, experimenting to see what works, where can we advertise that is really efficient. Because people also need to understand, it's really easy to just grab the ICO funds and just say, let's just freaking advertise everywhere senselessly, and then suddenly wake up and say, hey, you know, we've run out of the ICO fund. We have no more operational resources. So what do we do now? So that's been the very, very intelligent strategy has been to experiment, to test, and we're finding what's working, and that's where we're going to put all the eggs in that basket.
Sure, clearly the advertising for any task is completely different and targeted at different people than the actual cryptocurrency. I guess my big concern is, or my big question, it's not a concern, my question is, how do you see them actually for Electroneum itself? How do you see them reaching out to the crypto community? Are you going to be looking at influencers? Are you going to be running little banner ads on CMC, or you don't know yet and you're still working that through?
No, there's going to be banners. There's going to be advertorials. We found that publishing press releases across all the news outlets, it really doesn't work, because that's kind of like a scam per se, because what they do is you shoot out a press release and they say, oh, we're gonna for X amount of money we're gonna publish it in 150 different websites, and they do, but they bury them in those websites, and each one of those press releases gets maybe 2 page views. So that's not efficient, and it's not efficient either to see 150 websites publish the same story one day within a 1 or 2 hour time frame, and then nothing happens for the next 3 to 7 days, you know. I'm so sorry. So what we're doing is we will be creating specific content or exclusive content for each of the different crypto news outlets, which is overwhelming task, but it needs to be done. So we're prepared to do whatever needs to be done. So, for example, tomorrow the AnyTask advertorials on these 2 websites I just mentioned have been written in way different form. So they look different. They look like different articles. The imagery is different, the wording is different, and they look completely different. So if you go and look for Electroneum, you're not going to find the same article in 6, 7 different places one day. You're going to find 2, 3 different articles written in different ways. And it doesn't matter if we pay for them, they're sponsored, but they're different. And I think that's very, very important. And,
what about influencers?
Yeah, obviously we're already contacting a few influencers. We'll be contacting more. We want to be on some exciting shows that have a large following. I'm not going to shoot names out there because people are going to say, well, when this and when that. Again, many interviews out there with YouTubers of the Bad Crypto podcast. Is that what one of them is called? We've reached out to them, and we're reaching out to all these different influencers, podcasters, YouTubers.
You know, you should also put together some, just a thought, you might put together some 10, 15 second commercial clips, just, you know, the Electroneum. Did you know the electricity to run the network is less than one household, you know? And just something that maybe 10 seconds or 15 seconds that, you know, gives Electroneum, and maybe just give some bullet points. And just, you can run them cheaply on different shows. You know, $20. You can run an ad. You can run ads for a week on a crypto show or whatever. And a lot of people would pick up on that.
Tell me which crypto show will run that ad for 20? Because all the crypto shows I've been talking to, it's more like in the area of thousands of dollars. But again, they're not going to hesitate. Richard's not going to hesitate to purchase advertisement space wherever it's needed. So there's not going to be any hesitation there, because we know it's very important to get that Electroneum name out there way more than it is now. So we've set the foundations. Again, the foundations are there, and now it's to build on top of that, and we're ready for that now.
I think it's actually that's coming out because we've always known that Richard is a successful marketer. Obviously, he has the other business which is very successful as well. And I remember he's spoken about in the past how when they experiment with advertorials and promotional stuff, how you put together a load of templates. You like you say, you don't just spend the entire ICE advertising. You want to do little clippets of different things. You collect analytical data, and then you go for the next one, and then you just kind of keep mixing it until you get something that's just right. You know, kind of like the porridge with the Three Bears.
And also,
you find the one that's just right, and then.
And also, we aim to start in June. We aim to, or actually not June, but when we go back to work in office, we're going to set up an area for weekly shows. 1, 2. This guy's done some amazing things for Jaguar Land Rover, for Porsche. Who else? I think he was working. I forget who else, but he's worked in Germany and Italy. He's been all over the place. Doing design, upper level design for these major companies. And then we have Chris Norris. He comes from Citigroup, from Barclays, Merrill Lynch. I mean, this guy's top notch. These guys are people that were hugely successful before coming to Electroneum. And as you said, Richard, he's been in the tech business, marketing business for 28 years. He was immensely successful before he launched Electroneum. So, and a lot of people don't know that. We have Ellen Macpherson. Yeah, she's from Seattle. She's a data analyst. You spoke to her, Dino. She's amazing. She's a very, very bright person. She just sits there and analyzes all the data for us, and she's handing over some very, very important information that we can act on and help improve the way we do things in Electroneum. So, and I can continue mentioning person by person. I mean, there's just so many talented people there. It's incredible, and a lot of people don't know that.
I think it's important.
Somebody else.
it's important to note as well that there aren't many blockchain and cryptocurrency based businesses that you get to know more than one or two people. You know who the founder is, and that's about it. And with so many of them as well, you can't even put a face to the person. It's always, oh, this is a picture. It's always some like anime. That's their profile picture. They're an anime profile picture, and it's just so many. And you can literally put a face to a name for so many of the ETN.
Missing in that photo, and still you see the photo and you say, really, all those people work there. Example, back in November we met, and I'm not going to say the name of the project because if there's one thing we respect, it's been anything. They're just going from one show discouraging to see, what, you're a top 20 and you're only 3 people, you're not really developing anything, you're just traveling around the world, got billions.
I think it's still a very immature spell. This is the environment for it to work, where people don't want to carry cash because it can carry bad bacteria. Something that's easy to use and something that can be a global norm. We're hearing this term, the new normal, with these unprecedented times, and Electroneum wants to be the global norm in regards to Electroneum can be spent in getting top-ups, daily essentials, and really gaining that money velocity. If you go and burn half the amount of coins, all of a sudden you're going to start having especially if it ends up going right up in terms of market capitalization as well. We've got that 2 decimal places for a very, very good reason, I think. And the reason for that is so that we have a higher supply than say other cryptocurrencies, because we're not cutting it down into 8 bits for each ETN. So I think from that aspect, it sounds like a high supply, 21 billion, but in reality, taking two digits into account and the sheer amount of people that are hoping to be using it, not just holding it for the end of time, I agree with you. It's a massively bad idea to burn it. Massively bad idea.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. I got Crypto Casino out there, and I'm just going to throw out his question, and you can answer as you see. He goes, are there any plans for Electroneum to just make their own exchange, as we already have the users, and it would be a good revenue source for Electroneum?
No, I've never heard of such a plan, to be honest. It's not in line with our vision. It's not part of our mission. It would go, I think, slightly against it. I'm not saying that it's something we would never do. It's something we haven't mentioned we would do. That's not in the timeline. It hasn't been even slightly discussed. So no, at this point.
Yeah, I get either. You guys make the coin. It's a whole different business being an exchange, and that's not your specialty. And I guess his thoughts were it would make money for them. Electroneum has their own path to be able to generate revenue going into the future, and that's going to be through transactions. Once things start getting going, and people are, hey, you want to pay for that with credit card or Electroneum? Oh, Electroneum, bloop. And then you guys will be able to, instead of charging 3% to the vendor, maybe it's 0.5%. And that's how Electroneum's going to make their value and make their money going forward. And
which is phase 3. If you're talking about blockchain, we can make a difference to many people around the world. We are a business. There's no doubt about that. And in line with that idea that we are a business, we need to monetize sooner or later, and that's going to happen in phase 3.
Mm-hmm. I want to take a moment to stop. Our friends at, and I know you may not be able to get involved in this conversation Ollie, but our friends at Ildi, Klaus, he's in the hospital in Las Vegas, and anyway, he's he's recovering from COVID, and so an excitement that they have on their website, but you'll figure in and Coinbase, and there's all sorts of other good stuff.
Yeah, we all do, and working towards that.
Yeah, I've been showing
everybody
that to
needs
people.
to rest assured that obviously, as a crypto, where do we need to be? I mean,
the mobile reward system. Now, this used to be the mining system, and then it changed to rewards like a few months ago, and then it's cut off. Now, there's a lot of people that are excited about that because it's less emissions. Now, there are coins for those that are new to Electroneum. There are coins that get mined through the NGOs, and the miners get paid through emissions for their services. And those NGOs then can take the ETN and do some good with it, whether they provide or transfer those coins to folks in their community, or they cash them in for dollar amounts or whatever fiat that they use, and buy goods or services, or be able to help somebody with that. The other way coins were released is that there were pre-mined coins, and they were handed out through the mobile miner, and which got renamed or retooled to a reward system. And that's all coming to an end, and I know that's exciting a lot of people because we're not going to be continuously flooding the market with these additional coins, because normally you would just have the mining emission, but then
in place, we're going to end the reliance of users on ETN rewards and lead us into the next, even more exciting phase of Electroneum.
Yeah, he's ending rewards. That's exactly what he just said. How could I read into that? That's what he said.
We're going to end the reliance of user. Yeah, well, look.
Yeah, that means users are no longer going to use these rewards because they're not there. He wrote it in plain English.
Well, I mean,
at least in American English.
I'm sure it could be interpreted in that way, and that it would seem that that could be one of the reasons why we're moving up in the ranks. I know I've before coming to Electroneum, I was doing a show with Blocks Live TV on market analysis, and I remember airdrops being a big topic, and these giveaways, and it was referred to as very damning to any project to give away so much, because it inflates. It's kind of devaluating the coin. It's like printing money that has no backing per se.
It's like our own version of hyperinflation. Moving forward, maybe it could just be a case of having a different way of rewarding the ETN community, because you don't have to emit that sheer amount for it to be useful to the community. So it could be a win-win. The community still benefit, yet the coin itself, the health of the coin itself in terms of its trading and its pricing and its inflation is more healthy as well. So I'm excited to find out what way they're moving forward, to be honest. I mean, like you say, it's been mobile miner all those many moons ago. Back when I remember when it first launched, the app first launched, and we were there starting our mobile miner, and it was like, oh, this is next level. Earning crypto on your phone, and how it's just evolved.
Create expectations so that people will attend the ANON summit, where Richard will clearly detail the restructuring of the ETN rewards. So
yeah, we're looking forward to that.
And the Q&A. There's going to be a Q&A immediately after his speech, as well as in the booth during 2 hours. So there's going to be plenty of time to ask him all these questions and get the explanation straight from the mind behind Electroneum.
Perfect. All right, let me see if there's anything else good out here that came up real quick while I was going through this. All right, so I don't see anything right off the bat. Let's see if there's any other good topics that we had here. We had the letter, we had the any task. I see all the redos. Obviously, the Electroneum website got remade, and the AnyTask looks like it got a nice new haircut, and looks pretty spectacular. Also, a lot of the folks that been on my channel have said, "Hey, I put something on AnyTask, but nobody's bought my service yet." And I've explained to them, they gotta hang in there for a little bit. We're trying to get that loaded, and if your task is very specific, it's going to take a while to find that specific customer, and to try putting other different tasks in there too, of other services that you can do. And I said, hey, Electroneum's going to be advertising the AnyTask going into the future. I'm hoping, very shortly, and
This is a huge priority, to bring in buyers, to make AnyTask appealing to and helpful to the people using it. Definitely. So just some patience there. We're still in soft launch there, and the reason why we're still in soft launch is because we want it to be perfect and ready for the open market, and then of course there's the advertising, the advertorials, and all that. But yes, patience, our biggest priority. Again, well, one of our biggest priorities is to bring as many buyers onto AnyTask as possible.
Okay.
Huge priority.
Cambodia and Chile. I had a question on that. How are those going?
Well, I've never eaten Cambodia with chili. Is that something?
It's crackers and chili.
Like Cambodia and chili. That sounded quite bizarre. All is fine there. I mean, what a more specific question. I don't know what's happening in Chile, to be honest, other than it's a nice South American country, but other than that, what's happening in Chile?
We had a lot of top-ups one time that was pretty exciting, and when they first rolled out to them, and they just wanted to know if that's still going good. Are you still getting usage in Chile?
Yeah, I think you're referring to Brazil, because that's where mobile top-ups have been very successful, and they continue.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. How's Brazil and Cambodia going?
Does that sound more appetizing?
Yeah, that's something I can eat. No, yeah, Brazil's going very well. Of course, we had a campaign that we were about to launch in Brazil, and because of the virus, that was put on hold, as well as another campaign we had just launched in Southeast Asia, 5 countries there. We had to put a hold on that as well. So 2 major campaigns that we already had contracts. We already had the people in place. We had to postpone those campaigns, unfortunately. But Brazil's doing very well because it's organic growth. I mean, we're seeing people in Brazil topping up their phones with ETN, and we're not really advertising. We're not with a major MNO, so it's purely organic, which means there's great appetite for using ETN there. And a lot of people may not know, but there's a small place in Argentina called Bariloche, which is also dubbed the Swiss Alps of Latin America, because it's so beautiful. It's a really nice place, and there's a big ETN community there. Well, it's a very small town. I think it's 30,000 people. And when I say big ETN community, when maybe 20-30 merchants in a small community accept ETN, then you'd say, well, that's a big community, isn't it? And it's only going to grow. So there's amazing guy down there called Juan Canapa, who's been advocating in favor of Bitcoin for a long time, and they drive around, and you might have heard of it, the Bitcoin mobile. I wrote about it about a year and a half ago. These people drive around all Argentina advocating in favor of Bitcoin, but Juan Pablo Canapa is a very huge ETN enthusiast, so he takes advantage of these trips and also speaks about Electroneum to the people he meets, and he's heavily promoting ETN there. And he's just gone to the local city council to see if they want to implement ETN for electricity, for payments of bills, and what else? What's this thing that housing taxes and regular taxes and all this, and they're strongly considering using ETN. Again, when is that decision going to come through? Well, now it's in the hands of a very local government. So, and we know there's a lot of red tape involved, and but hopefully hopefully Juan Pablo comes successful out of that one, because we have not been involved at all in that negotiation. This is something he's doing on his own. So there's some people out there that that really inspire me, really encourage me, because they're doing things on their own, promoting ETN heavily on their own, and it's happening in different parts of the world.
Well, we had one guy, Phoenix Rising. He says, good idea might be for Electroneum to partner with health clinics in different countries and regions. He says he's an RN, and Electroneum could give poor people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we get a lot of ideas from the community every day, and I want to encourage people to continue sending those over. I do share those ideas with the team. Some ideas are in line with our vision. Some ideas are in line with what the projects we have in line coming. So fantastic. Some are not, unfortunately. They're great ideas. It's not that they're not good. It's simply that they're not part of what we have going on at the moment. So we would like to be all over the place, but we cannot.
Sure. I guess prioritization is a key skill to have in regards to what to do first, what to do next. Sounds stressful.
Yeah, I mean,
big decisions.
Yeah, it's a lot of big decisions, because we do get very, very good ideas. Sometimes we even get very good leads. It's like, hey, I got inroads with this person from this company. They want to do this. Yes, but it's not in line with what we're doing. And we would have to divert so many resources just to get that going. And then what do we do with what we're already doing? So it's about focus, isn't it? I think if you want to get anywhere, you need to focus on what you're doing at the present and just persevere on that.
It's that you need to keep your momentum, don't you, where you need it. And I imagine a workforce that is constantly changing projects every 2 seconds without finishing them. That's not a healthy thing for a team to be doing. Team morale can be affected heavily by doing those sorts of things. And the workforce, they do it because they want to succeed, don't they? They want to see it.
Yeah. I can give you a very simple analogy. I mean, today I was working on 3 different articles at the same time, and that's just very difficult to do because you're jumping around from one article to the other. And then it comes a point where you say, well, I'm not getting anything done here. So why don't I just focus on one, get that one out of the way, and then I'll go on to the other one. And so that it's just focusing and prioritizing, like you said, and just being, consistent in what you're doing.
I have XXYY out there. He's saying, hey, does Electroneum have any plans for Mexico?
I'm from Mexico. Of course we do.
Pero ¿cuándo?
Sí, señor.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm burning Nigel Pooley's ears. He's the head of business development with ideas from Mexico because, of course, I was a journalist there for so many years. I have so many very good contacts and very good places where we can make things happen. Again, it doesn't matter how big my contacts are there and how big the project could be. It's right now. It's not the right time to put to set out and do my project. But we have that in mind. We've already spoken to some of my contacts there just to see what the appetite would be for that, and they're very interested in what we're doing. We've sent them some materials, and we will be going to Mexico soon to eat some tacos and get things rolling there because it's a huge market. One of the first things I told people at Electroneum as soon as I walked in the door back in July for my first day of work was, if you want to go to Latin America, you need to go through Mexico. Mexico's the gateway to Latin America. If you don't go through Mexico, you may have a very difficult time succeeding everywhere else in Latin America. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. It's so amazingly true. You're not going to believe when I tell you that a lot of singers, a lot of actors and actresses come from other countries in Latin America to Mexico to succeed, and then go back to their countries to be the famous artists that they are. That's just the way Latin America works. So that's that we will be going there soon. So
I think hitting the Spanish-speaking countries is really important. It makes up a huge percentage of the global population. The whole of South America. You've got Spain. It's such a widely spoken language throughout the entire world. You can't just go with just because English is a language that most countries will teach, especially for professional careers, etc. In the English language, like especially like aviation, air traffic control and stuff. English is the language. But yeah, like I mean, I think that's really exciting. I'm actually going to send you a link to a video I did in Spanish because I used to live in Spain when I was a kid, and I used to be fluent, but not anymore.
well,
Still speak it.
I just heard you say a few words in Spanish, and they sounded good to me. So
Yeah, to me too. I'm like,
it's the accent. You need to get the accent down so you sound like a local. But because it's strange whenever you go to different parts of the world where the accent from the Spanish kind of changes, like in Castellano in Spain where I was, your C's are pronounced THs, but in Mexico's it's more of an S.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we have that same problem down here. You go state to state, and it's like, y'all come on back here, and then you go up north, and it's, yo, you're visiting, you're in my way, get out of my way, dude.
And then we're over here like, what on earth are these guys speaking? I don't even understand it.
I'll tell you, when I first arrived in Birmingham, in the UK in 2013 with my... when we first arrived there, we were listening to some people right behind us, and my son was saying, Dad, what are these people speaking? And I'm like, I'm trying to listen, I'm trying to understand, and I'm like, they must be Eastern European. I can't understand the word they're saying.
Anywhere near as strong as, say, Chris Gorman's accent, being from, is it Sunderland or Newcastle? He's a Geordie, and the Geordie accent, that is a very strong accent. Even I should.
But I can really understand. Actually, I can understand Chris and his son Taylor better than I can understand Brummies. And don't start it with the yam yams. You know who I'm talking about, right, Mick? People from what is this, West Bromwich, is for sure.
Yeah, I just want to toss in one other one here. Candy Girl goes, why would we need the M2 mobile if the reward is changed or different? But is that still something that's going to be happening in M2?
Good question. Again, this is a question for Richard during the ANON summit. Because there are people, I mean, I think the benefit of the mobile mining or even the app in it, just because it's low cost and it's got the good specs and everything. So I don't know though where we stand with the M2, because again, I'm not too sure if you read the letter correctly.
Yeah, maybe that was a question I was asked. But so what do I know?
There's not even anything in the letter for BM2. I think what sparked some of the conversation was in a couple of the interviews. I know Oscar Tech asked him about it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's where I got Oscar from a while ago, didn't I?
It was Oscar. It was in Coin Guy. It was in a write-up, and then it said we're going to end the reliability of it. We're going to end the reliance on it. So dumb me, you know. Okay.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I just wanted to kind of steer away from that.
Good, very good. We're going to look forward to it at the for the show. I know I'm all to watch and see all the different content that's going to be available, and hopefully everybody is also. Is there any last minute questions, Mick, that you want to talk about or topics?
Not off the top of my head. It's getting closer to 1 a.m. here, so
it's kind of the end to the reliance of users.
I've got a good question. I know you might not be able to talk about it yet, as it may be something again for the ANON summit. But after I was browsing on the summit website and was looking at the schedule, and then there's a section with the booth, and then you've got a bunch of logos on that page. I think you're gonna guess which one I'm kind of gonna pick up on here. But there's a little red lightning bolt called ETN Donate.
There you go.
Something that we've not heard of before. So this sounds like something that could be in line with what we were talking about earlier with ETN rewards, maybe, if it's somehow linked to the future of how the reward system's going. Or I'm going off on a tangent. But basically, my question is, what is ETN Donate? What is this red little logo?
That's the right question. What is ETN Donate? Can you give us a little hint?
I think it's been mentioned before, but I think if you read into ETN Donate, it speaks for itself. But again, it's an announcement that I prefer Richard to give during the ANON summit, because that's part of the of his speech, and why steal these announcements away from his speech? I mean,
no, we don't want to do that. We thought maybe if there was information that you could talk about. So yeah, we'll wait for the 19th to get that answer. I was curious also, so that's a good one, Mick. And then we also had Glenn came up and he goes, "Yeah, what's this ETN Donate thing?" So that was perfect. All right, let's see what
anything else.
If you wanted more questions, let's see here.
If you have some questions. I mean, I'm sure some people are eager to get some of their questions answered. So we're already here. We might as well answer a couple more, if Mick's all right.
I've made myself look like a right tit, and I.
With the nitro chair and everything, man. I mean, you got these gamer chairs that you can sit in for what, 3 to 5 days. I'm in the chair.
I do like to get up every now and then.
Yeah.
I'll go and stand by the arcade machine for 2 hours.
Let's see here. Going into the marketing phase, is there any update? Getting on Binance is from... Who's this from? This is going to be from...
That was...
Ed.
I think I saw a question where it was someone at ETN were going to move over to a Binance blockchain in order to get listed.
Never.
No.
never.
Yeah,
That's one of the
thank
reasons-
you for just clearing that up, because
Yeah,
that
that's
would be
one of the reasons why we haven't gone on to Binance, is because at one point, for some reason or another, they were asking us to migrate to their blockchain, and that's never going to happen. But to answer to Binance, we did speak to Josh Goodbody. He's Goodbody. He's the head of the Europe division for Binance, which has nothing to do with listings, but he has put us on the queue with the listing team because they work in a very methodical way. This is what he explained to me. And what that means is that we've just been put on a list, and they will come to us with the listing requirements when our number is up, essentially. Which means, again, we are working towards getting on Binance. It's not, because I do understand people when they see us, hey, let's vote. It's like some people get frustrated, and I understand that because they feel, boy, these guys want to get on Binance only via voting. Why don't they just dish out some of the ICO funds and get us on Binance, as if that were going to be the solution to everything? And I think that's another thing that people need to understand. Binance and Coinbase isn't the solution. It's not really going to solve anything, to be honest. And that's what the experts have been telling us. But it doesn't mean we don't want to be there. Of course, we want to be in the major crypto exchanges, but it's not the solution everybody thinks it is. So just so that everybody understands that. I mean, a lot of people don't like Biggie, but it's one of the biggest up and coming crypto exchanges in the world right now. Huobi is doing very well as well. I mean, so we're in good places. We just need to make sure we're in a better place with these crypto exchanges, and the rest of them will eventually beg us to be with them.
Right, you can have it on the great exchange, but you got to have people with an interest in it, and that's where the exciting part is getting the crypto community back involved and
there's so many requirements too, right? Because they're not going to want us there if there's not the liquidity nor the trading volume that they're seeking, and that's understandable. So that's why phase 2 is all about that, as Richard has clearly explained in his letter, and we'll go further into detail during the ANON Summit. So don't miss the ANON Summit. If you haven't registered, register now, because that's when you will find out about all these exciting things. Very important things too. Very important. Really, really significant.
Okay. Let's
get
see.
registered. I mean,
Did
it's
we hit
free.
60 Satoshis?
Huh?
Did we hit 60 Satoshis during the show at some point? Somebody said we hit 60.
We're currently at 58.
58. All right.
Rank 86. But I mean, rank 86 is the highest we've been since this pump, I think.
Yeah, Lunar Crush is because we rank 83 on Lunar Crush. We're better ranked there than we are on CLs.
Oh, that's a very good point. Well, let's go back to these.
And by the way, Lunar Crush was recommended to me by a very, very reputable market analyst whose name is Matty Greenspan. Many of you may know him. I work really nice. It's really nice. It's got
purple banner on the side.
Got way more information on it. It's got some more indicators. I like it. And again, we're in 83. Just climbed one more position. We're now ranking 82 on the Lunar Crush. So we might have moved up another position on CMC as well.
Oh, cool. And there's an alt rank. Which is third out of 2041. I'm not joking. Let me share my screen.
We were fifth a while ago. We're top three, the top third most best performing altcoin, right?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Is it on the stream?
Yes, it's.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. Third 23 out of 2041. Volume.
So the squarer it gets, the more well-rounded we are.
Yeah. You pun intended, mate. That's a play on words, that is, isn't it?
Back to grammar school to study geometry.
That's funny.
Oh, I've gone away. I tried manually dragging everything to first place. Apparently, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I wish it were that easy.
Check the percent change. I think we're like number 3 also.
16.51% on the 24-hour. I mean, look at the spikes of volume as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do you think all that volume's coming from? Somebody else asked that question before too. Where do they think all the volume's coming from?
Good question for market experts, not for me.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people are getting back into it, and there are people that like to trade Electroneum when there's action going on, and they could just $1 million worth of Electroneum in the past, and that's not on anything abnormal. It was just that it wasn't average for the last couple of months, but we've easily hit $1 million. Now, if I would be like, there's $10 million worth of volume, then I'd be like, okay, who's doing the competition, Because didn't we have like 10 million when they did the competitions?
But isn't it amazing to see them is 5 times? Well, then maybe I should go on to a different example.
But it's true,
like
spreads.
Yeah.
And I mean,
yeah,
really
I'm gonna get a 10th
low
of a
spreads.
percent.
How about, and again with Paxo Standards, same situation. Again, it's just isn't it? But there's other crypto coins out there that are traded 5 times their market cap, and they're not stable coins. I mean, it's just amazing to see how much fake trading there is out there, which is really just a house of cards, because one day, once this becomes regulated, sooner than later. I mean, you don't need to be an expert to know that sooner or later this will be regulated. And when that happens, all this fake trading, all these coins, all these cryptocurrencies that are fake trading are going to collapse.
You're talking about regulation. Hey, Mick and Ollie, in UK, there's this new regulatory standard, I think next year or this end of this year or something.
The FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, this year.
Tell us about this. What is that all about?
So the Financial Conduct Authority they're the body that govern car insurance, banking, gambling, basically anything where launder money, basically. And
sort of the FCC of the UK.
The SEC, yeah, the UK's version of the SEC, basically. And yeah, this year, I think it was either at the start of this year or it's later on this year that every blockchain-based, cryptocurrency-based entity that's registered in the UK has to be registered with the Financial Conduct Authority. Especially if you look at gambling websites, years ago, back when online gambling wasn't as much of a thing, it was a lot easier to get signed up. It was a lot easier to go through basically no checks and just gamble to your heart's content. Nowadays, you need to give like 2 proofs of address, ID, just to get onto the platform. And then gambling companies like to keep your money, so they'll do that when you try to withdraw it as well. But yeah, it's very heavily regulated. They're vulnerable. If you've not been in the space and you don't understand how the space works, it's daunting, and you can be victimized very easily, I think, in crypto, very easily.
People have to watch out, because when those regulations come in, definitely, and they are. I can see a lot of cryptocurrencies being purged, being collapsing. I can see that clearly happening. But again, happy news for Electroneum is that we've been working towards that regulation since early 2018. Sorry, guys. So we're ahead of that, and we're prepared for when the FCA hands out these regulations. So we're all ready for that. So we're in a good place in regards to that. And again, we go back to why we are where we are is because we're doing things the right way, the legal way. We're not putting the project at risk so that people are happy. It's not about that. So I know people get frustrated out there because they don't see us doing things other cryptocurrencies are doing, but the people have to understand that we're doing it to protect the project. And when we protect the project, we're protecting the ETN enthusiasts, our crypto community. So
I think that goes hand in hand with what you were saying earlier about when you went to Malta and there was a particular cryptocurrency where it was literally 3 people for the whole business. You're not going to have those 3 people be experts in every piece of regulatory framework. They're going to be blockchain based people. They're going to be blockchain. They're going to be marketing. They're going to be potential financial based. But in terms of law, and not just law in one specific region, you need to get it right for global, on a global basis, and it's absolutely massive. And that's why when you say there's 3 people to a whole company and it's in the top 15 rankings in CoinMarketCap, you just think, how? And it's because of the way they've marketed it. And yeah, it's a sophisticated blockchain, but what use is that in comparison to Electroneum that is ready to be a fully regulated, trustworthy entity that has the services there, and that's been showing them off. It confuses me how backwards the crypto market can be.
yeah, well, it's still very much the wild, wild west, isn't it? But it will be regulated. Again, I know I'm being very repetitive in that sense, but I think it's important for everybody to understand that. And then they will clearly see why we move the way we move and why we're so careful and we do things the right way, which is not exactly the exciting way everybody else would like to see it, but they will sooner or later come to the realization that everything Richard has done has been extremely strategic, extremely intelligent. They'll soon find out. They'll soon see it. And I think they're already, because the one thing you said towards the beginning of the show, or I think it was before that the momentum you're seeing now looks way different than any other momentum you've seen before. And this is not the first time I've heard this comment. I've heard this comment from various different people. So I think it's finally sinking into a lot of people that we are moving up, but we're moving up in a sustainable way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, let me just check here to see if there was anything last minute questions. So I got one here from Mr. Prashnath Joe. Is there any government that is ready to use Electroneum in their countries as we are KYC AML crypto? And obviously, what you were talking before about the with doing all of this, getting ahead of the ball, coins like Bitcoin, Ether, they have enough muscle behind them where they can kind of push their way through. People can still use them, and there's that type of thing. But any coins that kind of replicate those services or that are further down the chewing list, if they're not participating with banks and governments, and they're not doing it the way that they needed to, they ain't going to go anywhere. There's not going to be any place for them, and they're not going to have the muscle like Bitcoin, ETH, or XRP to be able to just kind of push their way into the door. You know, more of the little wimpy guy. Can I come in, please? You know, and no, go away. You know, and the Bitcoin comes and it goes boom, boom, boom. Let us in. But you know, Electroneum's going to be able to go. Excuse us, we have a VIP pass, and get right in. You know, so that's how it's going to be, because you guys are all set up already. So get back to this here. Is there any other governments ready to use Electroneum in their countries, or has that even been a thought, or nothing? What to answer on that?
Well, I know, I know we've various governments have been approached, and the one thing everybody knows, I mean, I'm not going to say anything nobody knows at this point. Most governments are a little bit wary about working with cryptocurrencies, and most of them are thinking more in the lines of launching their own central bank digital currency. They prefer to do that rather than hand out monetary control to external parties. I mean, that's something no government wants to get rid of. That said, when we were speaking with these people that I know in Mexico, one of them is pretty up high there in the government. He was thinking that they could use ETN to deliver funds to social welfare to millions of people that are receiving this with the new government in Mexico, because they're right now delivering it in cash, which is very dangerous. So they felt that ETN would be a good solution for them. So obviously there is interest in many governments to use different cryptos, and I think we're in a good place in that regards, because we are regulatory compliant. So that makes us
pretty awesome.
Healthy cryptocurrency.
Kind of reminds me
I
of the
think a
old
lot of
stage
cryptos
coaches.
are going to be kicking themselves
Yeah,
for kind of turning their noses up at regulation, because they want to be fully decentralized. A lot of these cryptos aren't even going to be able to be used once regulatory framework comes in, especially in the States, the UK, France. All these countries are going to be the first ones to get strict rules on what kind of cryptocurrencies you can use, I think. And I think going the way that ETN went, I mean, myself and Dino have been obviously covering ETN all through that time period when ETN were going through the whole regulatory KYC AML phase of the project, and we both think it was a fantastic idea. So we spoke about it quite a lot.
No, absolutely. And you know, I always tell everybody, you know, if you're not interacting with the banks and the governments and doing it the way they own the game right now, they are the system, and if you want to be able to interact with them, you're gonna kind of have to do it their way. And without this, you know, you'll have these coins in the, you know, third, fourth, fifth page on down, and basically they're going to just be trading their coins with their friends like marbles, you know, and back and forth, you know, and never actually getting them used in the environments that they're intended for. And so the Electroneum definitely will have the advantage there.
It's
I mean,
bizarre.
look how many people bashed Ripple. Ripple were bashed in like the very early days, 2014, 2015.
They still are.
Because of going,
They're still
because of wanting to target the banks, the central banks. And then a few years later, all of a sudden, it seemed to be the right decision for them to do, because they have built everything based upon that. Doesn't mean I necessarily love XRP by any stretch of the imagination, but they saw their target market and they marketed it. They built something for that use case and they did it well. And it doesn't matter how many people doubt it, because it took them 3 years for people to suddenly see the value of what they've built. 3 years, that's a long time in crypto time.
Yes, it is.
And they sustained so much FUD in that time. And I do see that similarity, that ETN were kind of given that same FUD for quite a long time. And
oh boy, my ears started ringing. Somebody out there saying, "What? How you dare compare ETN with XRP?" I can already.
Exactly.
The analogy is very good, and what I wanted to say is, you need to be inside the head of the people behind the project to understand where they're headed. So I understand when people say, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, why don't you ask Richard? why don't you get inside his head of what he's planning, you know, what his strategy is? And if you were there, you would understand and see things as clearly as he does. And I think we're all beginning, well, there's so many, I mean, I think there's way more supporters out there than there are fudders. So I can fairly say there's maybe between 2 to 5% of the people out there are fudders against ETN. Most of them. Why I invited these people, Dino and all these.
Because while the coins are pouring out and the price is low, and it usually stays that way for 3-4 years, Electroneum's come up with all this great stuff that it can do. And so now it's ahead of where the price is, and so they're a victim of their own success. They're ahead of what normally would happen. So, you know, obviously there are things
like
that
what you
Electroneum
just
can
said, Dino. Sorry to interrupt you, but it really called my attention because today we had this conversation with the people from the ANON summit, and initially they felt that they weren't going to be able to get more than 2,000 to 3,000 people to register to the event, and we blew that through the roof in regards to their expectations, because I think there's over 6,000 people have registered, and over 50% of those people come from us. And there's so many other projects out there. I mean, if you that have those tickets, that have sponsored the event and haven't been able to bring as many people as we have. And the one comment that various people that are also participating in the ANON Summit said was, wow, this is incredible how many people you guys brought on. No wonder, now I believe your numbers. You guys, it's sometimes it's hard to believe that you guys have so many followers, so many download apps and all this and all that. But now that we've seen how quickly you got people to register to the event, now we believe your numbers. And now we're personally going to reach out to Binance to tell them they're wrong when they say you guys fake the numbers and put bots out there to vote in your favor, because we clearly see you do have the support behind you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's really encouraging to hear that the other cryptocurrencies can't get near the numbers of ETN's registration.
Not even close.
That just says it all. That just says it all as to how undervalued an asset Electroneum is. I don't do price predictions. I've never done price predictions. I won't start doing price predictions. But that just says mountains.
And just look at the other names on that roster that they have, you know, the speakers, and look at the booths, the other projects that are exhibiting there, and you would think there's some big projects out there. You would think that they would have drawn more public than they have. So we've clearly blown that through the roof and impressed everybody there. So even before the ANON Summit takes place, we've already had huge success with it, because we've clearly confirmed to them that our numbers are real.
There you go. Exactly right. All right, let me just check, see if there's anything last out here. We need they were talking about if you were deciding to get back into gaming, and everybody was talking about how it's more of the unbanked and helping those folks out. Let's see, what else we got here? Not seeing any other particular questions that have come up, except for the gaming. Are you ever planning to go back into gaming, being part of like Engine Coin or these video games, and they have assets and using Electroneum for the assets and stuff like that?
Well, initially that's what we were, and if I think we've been approached by a couple of gaming companies that want to use ETN, and I think that will happen. It's not that we've discarded it. It's just that we have other priorities that we think are going to put us in a better place than becoming a gaming token right now. But that doesn't mean that we've completely discarded that as a potential future or as a way to monetize.
Okay, that makes sense. You got anything else there, Mick?
Just when they you started mentioning about gaming, it reminded me of a game that was released. It's not Hoddle Rocket, but there was another one, and it was kind of like do you remember Flappy Bird, where you're going sideways and you're tapping on the screen? Basically, instead of the Flappy Bird, it was Richard Ells' face on a rocket, and it's basically Flappy Bird. I need to remember where I got it from. I actually messaged the guy that made it and said that is awesome.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because that type of game is like so addictive.
Hey, can you tell me about the? You may not be able to. This may be part of the 19th release. Is there any the instant payment system?
Mm-hmm.
Originally, there was going to be some additional features added, so you could do refunds and maybe some background accounting information, or some subscriptions and other things. Is that still going to be happening so that we can apply that to the ETN Anywhere solution? And I don't know if you can answer that either. What exactly is ETN Anywhere, and what does that mean?
Oh, you mean ETN Everywhere?
Everywhere, yeah. There we go. Anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, well,
it's anywhere, it's everywhere. What are you giving me a hard time here for, huh?
it's a Chile, it's a Brazil. Yeah, again, that's part of Richard's announcement on the 19th. So again, let's register to the event and listen to Richard, and as soon as he's finished with his speech, if you want to ask questions, hurry, because there will be space for Q&As there. And if you're not able to squeeze in a question then just visit the booth between 1 and 3 p.m. Austria time or CEST time, and he'll be at the booth engaging with the community, with anybody that wants to ask him questions, wants to speak with him personally. He will be there and answering to all these questions, and I don't want to steal his thunder.
That's why I wasn't sure. If I go like this, and I lost my battery on my remote earpiece, so I guess we'll have to call it. Unless there's any last things you want to put in there. You guys have got to be exhausted. It's late there. It's still only 8 o'clock. Here I have another 4 hours worth of work to do. So I'm going to let you guys...
I did have one question.
Okay.
That is about the ETN app. It's not like a massive question. Just biometric sign-in. It's a feature that I think any sort of financial holdings application should have. More and more affordable budget phones are coming with fingerprint sensors now. So I was just wondering if it is in the pipeline for the next app releases to maybe include biometric sign-in, Face ID, fingerprint unlock, etc.?
I have to be honest, it's not something I've heard, but what I do know is that they want to improve the verification process. Some people do complain about it, but again, it's the people that complain are the loudest usually, right? And sometimes they give the impression that one person sounds like a million people. What we need to understand as well is just because 2 people complain and 2 million did not, what does that tell you? You know what I mean? Because I do look at Twitter constantly, and I get DMs on Twitter. I get DMs, private messages on Telegram. Sometimes people email me directly because they found my email somewhere or the other on a press release or something, and they come to me with issues they're having. I can honestly say those issues are minimal. They're minimal in comparison to the amount of people that have downloaded the app, minimal in comparison to the amount of people that are actively engaging with the app, which I think is up to about 260,000 on a daily basis. So when you think that I've had to intervene in maybe 10 to 15 cases in the last 6 months or 3 months, maybe, I'll exaggerate. 15 cases in the last month, still nothing in comparison to how many people are actually using the app, engaging with it, using it to send ETN, and or just downloading the app and registering for the first time and going through the verification process. It's minimal. It's minimal. They are loud though, and that's one of the reasons why I immediately, when I see these complaints on Twitter, I immediately DM these people and tell them, send me your details, raise a support ticket, because I can't go to the head of support and say, hey, can you look into this? Well, have they raised the ticket? No, they have not. Well, tell them to raise a ticket. Yeah. Why are they complaining if they have not raised the ticket? Things don't get magically resolved, do they? You have to raise a ticket. So once
they don't know there's an issue until you tell them.
Yeah. Well, I got people say, well, I haven't gotten paid in 2 weeks. Have you raised the ticket? What's that? Where do I do that? Okay, well, you raise it here. And once you do that, your issue will get resolved for sure. If it doesn't within 2 days, then get back to me and I'll help you. And I'll say 90% of the issues that have come directly to me or through me have been resolved before I've had to intervene, just by telling them, raise a freaking support ticket. And once they do that, they get their issue resolved. Sometimes it's been the case where it has not happened that way and I've had to intervene. But again, it's very minimal, very, very minimal. But again, we want to make things easier. You're right. We're in a modern era. It's a technology company, so we should be avant-garde, right? So I'm sure that's in the works.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I'm gonna let you get to sleep. I appreciate both of you giving up your time to come on the show. It was real generous of both of you, and looking forward to seeing you guys out in Twitter land.
I just want to thank my mom, my dog, and my children. No, I'm just kidding. No, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Wait, have I got an Oscar here I can just grab?
No, thank you, Mick.
I've got a Corona bowl.
Coronavirus. Got the Corona.
I got it cheaper, so I'm absolutely happy. It's my favorite.
I got it cheaper.
That and San Miguel.
Well, I do really want to thank specifically is the entire ETN community, the Electroneum community. It's impressive. It's amazing. It's so supportive. It's just a privilege to me to be working with Electroneum and being the intermediary between the Electroneum community and the companies. It's been an awesome journey for me, so I want to thank the community for that.
Perfect. I'm almost out of juice here, guys. You guys get some sleep, all right?
Some stuff.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye, everybody.
All right. That's been going on in my ear for like the last 10 minutes. I'm just waiting for it to drop dead. Hey, Mick, you're awesome. I appreciate you coming on the show. I hope we get to do this again sometime, and that's a little earlier for you. And we'll connect. Appreciate you. Thanks.
No worries. Stay safe, mate.
All right.